Across the Federated Media network, video is a little bit different than perhaps even some of our partners like Next New Networks, for example, who are in sort of super distribution and trying to get to scale in video and play the reach and frequency television game, which you need to play if you're going to play at scale. We've had success with video as a part of an integrated sponsorship or custom marketing program that we've built across, say, 10 sites that we work with a video component added by one site, or maybe a video component on a theme done by 3 or 4 sites. But we're not selling just video, and so we're not really playing in that pure video world. I think that there are some pretty significant players there still trying to figure out how to make money. YouTube comes to mind. Not to mention Hulu and other sites like that. I'm not concerned that print's going to go away. I think as a medium it has a lot of value, but I think I've been saying this since Wired launched in 1993, January '93, which is that if you're going to launch a magazine, you better justify why you're killing the trees. And it used to be that you didn't have to do that because the only medium you had was print. Now information goes where it wants to go and where it's best used, which means the paper is one place where it could go and is the best used, but you need to justify the use of it. So I don't see magazines going away. I see them getting better. I do see fewer of them in terms of quantity of circulated magazines, but I see more in terms of unique niche kinds of magazines that have a lot of value to a small group of people.
Now, in terms of the customers, your publishing clients, customers, publishers within Federated Media, how do you explain the value of what they do to advertisers, and how do you close the deal?
It's very simple. I'm kind of taking them through a couple-step process about what's going on in media. And I think it's something that almost everybody gets if you're a marketer. Number one, the media that you used to buy is changing dramatically. I think everyone understands that and buys that thesis. The content creation and consumption patterns of the audience you care about as a marketer has changed dramatically. The sort of axis of that change was search, which blew up the distribution monopoly that was enjoyed by large content companies, so that people could feed on content in unique nibbling bites as opposed to sort of being fed it in large streams from their cable channel or from the newspaper or from from print. Now people go and find the little bite-sized pieces of content that they want using search as an interface. And by the way, that kind of content is increasingly social because people are drawn to content that has social attributes. So a new form of content has emerged. We call that at FM conversational media. It's what we're doing right here. That has allowed a lot of influential, talented producers of that content using very inexpensive tools of production that used to be very expensive to gain audiences that otherwise would not have been gained. The problem that marketers have is they look around and see millions and millions of these kinds of smaller but very influential communities and sites. How do they get their arms around it? The answer up until recently was, well, you'd go to a very large portal and you'd spend your money there and hope you'd catch these people who were nibbling on these little, bite-sized pieces of conversational content. You hope to capture them as they go through the doors of the Yahoos and the Googles and the Facebooks and the MySpaces and the AOLs and MSNs of the world. FM's proposition is simply that we're the company that has the rest of the world. Everything else on the web that you might want to get your arms around, we'll figure out how to be your publisher for that. At the end of the day, I think engagement with content, engagement with community and conversation does equate to consideration and then conversion to purchase. That has been true forever. It's proven in terms of advertising underwriting of traditional print and television. I think we need still to prove it in online, but I don't think you can argue that it isn't true. You can just argue about how you're going to prove it, which just seems to be where we are right now as an industry.